Now, Fianna Fáil has been plunged into political turmoil after its candidate for the Irish, Jim Gavin, sensationally withdrew from the presidential race last night. This comes amid allegations that Mr Gavin owed a former tenant €3,300. We're joined now by the journalist who broke that story, Ireland editor with the Irish Independent, Fionnán Sheahan. Good morning, Chief Fionnán. How are you? Where did you get the story?
So I was reporting on Jim Gavin running for the presidency back in August. I broke that story at the time that his name was being linked with Fianna Fáil. I was writing a lot about it subsequently, and around Billy Kelleher going up against him for the Fianna Fáil nomination. And then I was talking to this former tenant of Jim Gavin, who told me his story from back in 2009. That he was renting this apartment in the North Inner City from Jim Gavin from 2007 to 2009. He moved out. He basically told the bank to cancel the standing orders that were paying the rent, but it was going out of two accounts and only one account was cancelled. And he noticed some months later that there was still rent being paid. So he got on to Jim Gavin and said, listen, inadvertently you have continued to be paid rent totaling €3,300. Can you refund that to me, because I'm obviously no longer a tenant of yours? And he had difficulty getting hold of Jim Gavin, and ultimately was ringing him, was emailing him, was writing him letters, called out to his parents' house, even out in Clondalkin, and ultimately sent him solicitors' letters, but all to no avail. He didn't get the money back. OK. Now, when you broke this story, you must have known it would have an effect on the campaign. Did you actually think he would withdraw? No, I mean, I got a response from Jim Gavin and Fianna Fáil to this on Friday night. It basically said that Jim Gavin had no recollection of this issue, and that he had no records at home after doing a search of records from 16 years ago. So it seemed to be pretty much denying that there was anything going on here. But then that unravelled yesterday during the second debate after your own one on Virgin Media. Last week there was an RTE Week in Politics one where suddenly he was saying he was checking what had happened here, and this was a stressful time, and he was saying, if it happened, I'm sorry. So he went from no recollection, no records, to if it happened, I'm sorry, and I'm looking into it as a matter of urgency. So clearly the ground had shifted for Jim Gavin. He wasn't really producing any kind of, coherent answers on this issue. And then last night we received this rather dramatic statement at 10:31, dropped into the boxes, saying that Jim Gavin had stepped back from the campaign. He doesn't specify what the issue is. He simply said, I made a mistake and I let my standards slip. But that is the issue at hand here. Ultimately, Fianna Fáil are now blaming him. They're saying that he didn't provide them with the proper information. But there are questions being put back to them about what process, what vetting did they do?
There certainly is. But in your article, grotesque, unbelievable, bizarre, unprecedented, was that aimed at Jim or Fianna Fáil?
A bit of both. I mean, it's like Watergate. That's the phrase we turn to whenever there's a major political scandal in Ireland. It's certainly unprecedented. We've never had a situation where a presidential candidate has dropped out in the middle of the campaign. Jim Gavin's name is going to continue to be on the ballot paper with Heather Humphreys and Catherine Connolly.
Yeah.
He will continue to accumulate votes. He will continue to get transfers, and he will continue to be a figure in this election. But he himself has dropped out, and Fianna Fáil will no longer be campaigning, obviously, for him. I presume the posters will be taken down off the lamppost. So it will be a rather bizarre situation that will emerge on polling day. And also the count will now be even more intriguing, because we were expecting, Alan, from the polling data that we got back yesterday with the Sunday Independent Ireland Things poll, it was basically showing that Jim Gavin was drifting anyway. He was kind of falling out of contention. Now he's gone completely. So we're expecting some of his support to shift to the other two candidates. Now we expect that to happen en masse. Heather Humphreys will get the bulk of that, but there will also be a lot of people who just won't vote now because they won't want to vote for any other candidate. So it's going to have an impact on turnout. It's going to have an impact on the count itself. and obviously on the outcome of this presidential election.
It certainly will, and it's going to be intriguing days ahead. Fionnán Sheahan, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you.